All right, awesome. Oh wait, so are we gonna have a countdown? Will jnich be able to hear me? Sorry, I forgot about that. One, two. Cool. Just talking to jnich about the countdown thing. Alrighty. This will be exciting. Welcome everyone to Metroid 100%. We're going to have a hoot and a half, and we're already off to a fantabulous start. Now, Metroid was an interesting title back when it was released in 1986, and now we have jnich, who is a fantabulous runner, who is going to be showing us the 100% route, all deathless, by the way. One important thing to note about deaths versus deathless is that with deaths you have an up A warp, which will allow you to skip large portions of backtracking, as dying will bring you back to the start of the stage. So in deathless, we just avoid all that, and you can't do any warping from area, so you can just run. There's just a lot of backtracking. In this category, 100%, we're going to be doing we're going to be grabbing all the items, which consist of 21 missile packs, 8 E-tanks, 2 ice beams, wave beam, screw attack, Maru Mare, bombs, Varia, and high jump. I believe that's it. And right now, we're just going to be working our way to the first missile pack, since it's what we need to do in order to access any part of the game. Ideally there's another strategy that you do in all the other categories, 80% null boss, which requires going to Kraid first, which would eliminate a lot of backtracking. But unfortunately there are items that you can't get without bombs, so you need to do this first. Just because I saw the question in chat, if you die in a deathless run, then the run just is over. Unfortunately, even though it's technically no up A, it means you just can't do any death warps of any kind. So, unfortunately, that's just the thing. But, yeah, exactly, you can't abuse death warps regardless of if they're intentional or not. Now that we got our first missile pack, this will allow us to go straight to Ice Beam and grab what will allow us to really work a lot of neat tricks, especially the Ripper Climb, which we'll see later. You'll see jnich pause a couple times or avoid certain enemies or not kill certain enemies, and that's not because you missed them. It's mainly because in this game, each enemy determines what the next enemy will do. So it's just basically his way of manipulating the enemies for the next room. Sometimes they happen in rooms in advance, so that you can have a more optimal room later on. So it might look like he's losing time, but he's not in the long run. Another interesting trick that you'll see right now is screen wrapping, which consists of jnich getting stuck inside the door and doing a series of morphs and unmorphs to move up. And what'll happen is if you move high enough up, you'll pop out the bottom of the screen, which allows you to get to places you shouldn't otherwise be in without having to get other resources. Normally you'd have to use a bomb, or you have to grab bombs and break a block, but since we have screen wrapping, we can just go straight here and now go to Ice Beam. It's a nice little trick. You'll see a few of these more, I think 4 more off the top of my head, all with each different types of style to it. Yeah. One thing you'll see coming up right now is this RNG thing. Normally we'd have missiles. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, nice. That was a frame perfect. Oh, I'm a little off. I was watching the wrong stream. You saw a frame perfect thing a little bit ago from jnich. and that's really hard to do. So jnich is an excellent runner. He's worked his way well into the top 5, even top 3, I think, soon, and mostly, and at least death or 100%, and soon in other categories as well. He's an excellent runner, and there's no one I'd rather have here to show off this category for. But for right now, he has to focus on getting missiles. And he needs missiles because he needs to open a red door for bombs, which is why this is like the run ending part for 100%, is you need to grab 3 drops of missiles in order to get the 5 necessary to actually open this door. So far he hasn't been getting good luck, unfortunately, and who knows how bad this could really get. Missile luck can be awful. So one thing that should be noted is how missile drops work. A room, when you enter a room, it starts off with a set amount of missiles and health. And I believe for missiles it's 0 to 16 that it can generate per room. So if you can actually run out of missiles per room, and sometimes the missile count for a room can be 0, and you just have to refresh the room, and he's not getting good luck at all. Which is unfortunate too, because you'll see him reset the room for this reason, so he can refresh the missile count for the room. It's rather unfortunate when this happens. This is where most hundo runs usually die, but it's really the only big RNG part. There's other parts of RNG, like the missile count and warfare we'll get to later, of course, but this is the run killer usually, and he's not having a good time. Oh, there it is. Nice. So there's our 3rd missile. After RNG did not give us a great stroke of luck, but nonetheless, we'll be right on course. jnich's an excellent runner. It'll just put us a little bit behind. He'll easily have a great run regardless. So now, there's lots of, especially as of like this past year, let alone, there's been lots of new tricks that were found that were previously just not touched by the top tier level players. And you'll see jnich do one of these really soon, is the Ripper climb. Although it might not look that hard, this takes a lot of practice to get down. Ooh. Even you can see even now that it's kind of a tricky feat. It's not easily doable, so... Ooh. Regardless, it's not an easy trick, so some things like this happen from time to time. You can see like a little case of the enemies don't reset on room, because these aren't the same patterns you get as you saw him. So basically, it just shows how enemy manip can work in your favor and against your favor if something like this happens. It's just unfortunate luck, because now his pattern's going to be slightly off. It's unfortunate too, because hundo in general is one of these categories where if you screw up one thing, it screws up the rest of the pattern manipulation if you don't know how to fix it. But now that we're out of that, we can go straight on to Varia. We'll clean up a little bit of upper Brinstar, but once we grab Varia, then we've pretty much cleaned up most of Brinstar. We haven't... After we grab Varia, we will still need to get Long Beam and another E-Tank, but we'll save those for later on. So that'll be fun. Most of the route is mainly just circles around the area. If you look at a map of the route, you'll notice that Brinstar, after you get the first missile, is just a circle on the top. Norfair is like the only not circle, but even then it's still kind of a circle. Ridley's lair is a circle, and Kraid's lair is a circle. Now we're up to an interesting map, the right side Varia map, where it's developed like in the last couple months too. It's very interesting. If you go right off screen, you can do some really weird things out of bounds, where you can go through rooms that are 100% wall that you can only travel through while jumping in midair, and then since you're standing on the 100% wall surface, it allows you to get the extra height and get into the door and the out of bounds room, and then trick the game thinking you can get up here. Otherwise, if you didn't have that, you'd have to use a bomb trick in order to get the extra height necessary, since we don't have high jump. And that's just, it's like a 3-frame window. But with this trick and using walls, we can cleverly sneak our way up instead. Now that we got the Varia, all of our damage has been reduced by half. Normally enemies in Brinstar do 8 damage, but now they'll only do 4. And since we have 2 full E-tanks left and the 67 health, jnich's in no shape to be anywhere close to be death. That was not a great sentence. To be anywhere near death. So he'll be, even though it is a deathless run, for 100%, there's a good chance that we'll never get close to even dying after. So, with that being said, now that we've collected most of the things in Brinstar, we'll be on our way to Norfair. And once we're in Norfair is the biggest section. It takes up like 22 minutes out of a like 45-ish minute run, or at least for jnich it's 45 minutes. And so it's a lot of trekking to do, and unfortunately, in my opinion at least, it's one of the more harder areas, which I think makes it more fun. But it'll be interesting to see how jnich approaches it in the marathon setting, because Norfair is the hardest area to get right overall because of how treacherous the optimizations are, which we'll see in a minute, and just how hard it is to optimize. But that has been Norfair in about just under 11 minutes. And now we'll get a quick music and color change. Oop. Let's see if he gets a nice little trick here that jnich himself. Oh, there it is. So that's interesting. Jnich, he actually found a way to. It's sub-pixel based, getting whether you be pushed damage to the left or the right. Most of the time it's right. But jnich found like a somewhat consistent setup to get like the right damage boost or the left damage boost like 50% of the time, which is better than most other times. And it's a nice save if you get it. It's become more of a meme to all the Hundo runners because no one ever gets it. Then jnich strolls along and he's able to find some setup for it. It makes everyone look bad. So these missiles are kind of out of the way if we weren't using screen wraps, but unfortunately for the game, we are going to use some screen wraps, and it's going to break something a little bit. I'll get into what specifically it breaks later, but right now we can focus on the wrap itself. After he enters this door, he's going to get himself stuck, and he's going to fall out of the door, and then it'll scroll the screen down. And what this will allow him to do is he'll be able to jump up and shoot out-of-bounds blocks and hop into an out-of-bounds door, which will trick the game into thinking we're entering down here, which allows this to happen even though he entered in the above-screen door. It's one of the more trickier wraps for people to get down consistently for this category, and it's nice seeing jnich be able to just ace it right off the bat. And now we're getting to the unfortunate, harder part of Norfair 1, which are these annoying seahorses in their lava. One thing I forgot to mention. The reason why, if you look at a map or play the game casually, this area will all be green. But because half of Norfair is purple in the color palette and the other half is green, we were still in the game transitions to a green color palette right after high jump, but since we're not going that way, the color palette still thinks it's green since we never hit that trigger. So that's why all of Norfair will be purple instead of what it should be is green. So that's an interesting fact. I just think it's fun breaking the game so hard not even the colors can keep up. We'll see more of this later in like a couple screens or two, but you'll notice that jnich has varying height when he jumps in lava, and sometimes he'll be like stuck, or he'll wait to sink, and that's because the lava sometimes, depending on where you jump from the lava, it hinders the height you can jump at. If you jump from the very top of the lava, then you'll get a full jump. If you fall from if you jump from the very bottom of the lava, like on a platform, you'll get a full jump. But if you jump between, your jump will be stunted. So you either have to get like a nice top jump of the surface lava and get a full jump, or wait to sink, or else your jump will be stunted and you won't be able to get out of the lava in most cases. Another thing we're going to see right now is the wave beam, which is objectively the worst one. It'll allow us to do a lot of really nice optimizations, like breaking things at our feet, or killing, you know, some enemies in one hit, but it comes at the disadvantage of being an absolute pain, because it'll just sometimes miss certain enemies or miss things right in front of you. We're gonna see jnich do a clip here. Clips work by unmorphing Samus and getting her head stuck inside of the block that you want to clip through, and then once her head is inside the block, you can do a jump and then be able to, when doing a jump, you'll be able to just go through the block. It only works for blocks that don't have another block on top of it, so you have to be able to, because if there is another block on top of it, Samus would just hit her head there and shouldn't fall out of the ceiling that you're trying to clip through, and it's no fun. We'll see a couple other block clips later on in the run, but that was just a fun one that's been implemented as of recently. Here's the first divergence between Deaths and Deathless. Since we're playing Deathless, we're going to see this route. Normally in Deaths, you'd be able to do a Death Warp here and go straight back to the start of Norfair, but since we can't die, we have to backtrack all the way to the left and grab Screw Attack. So we'll see a lot of these rooms except backwards. Yeah, you can see jnich making use of the lava stuff. One thing that should be noted is... One thing that should be noted is damage boosts don't actually increase your speed like they do in other games. Your max speed is as fast as you can get, but damage boosts do give you the ability to use iframes to clip through enemies, but unfortunately doesn't give you any speed. Another thing it does is if you take damage while falling, it'll actually increase your acceleration a great deal compared to if you fell normally, and you'll reach terminal velocity a lot quicker than if you didn't get hit by the enemy. But most cases those tricks are rather risky, so I'm not sure if we'll see a lot of these, but it's just nice to know that they're there. And you can just see we're backtracking to Screw Attack. Screw Attack is also another blessing and a curse. A lot of people, Hundo in general, if your goal is to complete a run, is rather easy to complete. The tricky part of Hundo, as with any category really, but especially Hundo, is the optimizations that come with it. All of these upgrades you get seem nice at first, but they're actually really annoying to deal with if you want to do it quickly. As we'll see with here's the block clips, by the way, and he effortlessly did them, which is, I believe, it's a frame-perfect window to do those specifically, so it just shows a great testament to how well jnich is at this game. Screw Attack, though. Screw Attack comes with the advantage of being able to kill every enemy with the same damage as a missile, which is instant for the most part, but it comes with a supreme disadvantage of a supreme disadvantage of causing a ton of lag. And lag in Metroid, and the original one, is very annoying to deal with since the NES was... the game can't really deal with a lot of more than 5 projectiles of enemies on screen, so it slows down very quickly, as you can kind of see here. And Screw Attack is not helping that whatsoever. So it's a hard mix between figuring out when you should use Screw Attack and when you should just let the game run and kill some enemies so that it doesn't slow the game down. So it's a hard trade-off. Here we'll see the nice Minkus Bop. It's a fun little trick. It's implemented again rather recently, but it's very annoying if you miss it, since you don't have high jump. You have to backtrack to the next thing because of the lava's hindering your jumps. It causes a lot of time and only saves a second, but it's a nice second to save. We're going to grab the only E-tank in Norfair, and after that we're going to go grab high jump, which is another blessing and a curse in its own regard. But after that we're done with Norfair 1, and we'll just be heading straight towards Ridley. High jump, we'll see. Oh, hopefully we don't see any cases, but a rather annoying thing about high jump is some jumps you can't actually make all the time because of subpixels and their alignment. So even if you hold the jump for the entire time, if subpixels don't cooperate, then you won't make the jump. It's rather unfortunate. Hopefully we don't see any of that, but you never know. We'll make use of bomb jumps here. This is an interesting thing. I should have mentioned the wrap. Since the screen, there are two types of rooms. There are vertical rooms and horizontal rooms. And you can only wrap up like jnich did in vertical rooms. If it's a horizontal room, he'll pop out the bottom. But since he's in a vertical room, it shoots him back up here, and he can do this and skip a large portion of backtracking. Unfortunately for the room, in order to fix itself, this is a horizontal room and not a vertical room. You need to enter through a door transition. And magically in this case, there's a door transition right there that we can fix the room in and make everything perfect again. Which is how that wrap works. It's a nice little optimization that saves a lot of time. But like I said, we're done with first Norfair. We're just going to go straight to Ridley's lair now. Nothing... There aren't two... we'll see. But Ridley's lair is a nice little fun one. You'll notice we'll make a big circle. We're going to go left, and then we're going to pop out the right when we come back out of here. It'll be a great hoot and a half, but a lot of this isn't too bad path-wise. But there's a lot of random missiles, a lot of missiles as well. We'll see nice use of the wave beam missing its mark again. You can even see it there. One thing I think, there's the subpixels I was talking about before. jnich held the jump as long as he could, but subpixels decided that he shouldn't make the jump. It's just so like stuff like high jump. They're nice, but they're annoying for that reason. You can make the jump, it's just annoying. A lot of Ridley's lair and the game in general is missile cleanup. We'll especially see that later in Norfair too. But the interesting thing about Ridley's lair is that we actually get to see our good old pal Ridley, and he'll be kind of a pushover, unfortunately. He's a lot less intimidating in this game compared to other ones, so don't get your hopes up too high. Pickles. Oh, I can't talk. I love it. You can see jnich, and you can use a screw attack here to, get rid of some enemies. And it's important that he kept that health drop from the side hopper around, because it allows him to reduce lag for the rest of this room. It might not seem like it, but it despawns one side hopper that you'd normally have to face here, and it causes a lot of lag. One thing I forgot to mention, because it hasn't been used, we'll see in a little bit. Why are there only 3 energy? Oh, well, you got another one. There are 8 total, but you can only hold 6. One thing I forgot to mention is that you can get an extra jump by doing an unmorph. If you go into morph ball and fall off an edge and pop out of it, you can save a jump as long as you don't press a directional button, as you'll see here. The next jump that you can have in midair. This is used in a lot of places, especially in Torian, and the trick you just saw. If you didn't do the unmorph trick, it's a 2-frame window, so it's a lot easier just to do that, since it's way more consistent to do. but now after we made it, we can just fall down the pit, and now we get to meet. Soon we're on our way to Ridley. And again, whoa, the double hit. I love it. So an important thing to note for bosses in general is that missiles and beams are like different in terms of how they kill things for bosses. So even though, okay, so the normal beam has the baseline 1 damage, ice beam has half of that, wave beam has double the normal beam, and missiles do 4 hits. With bosses though, all beams do like 1 damage while missiles do 4 hits. So it's a lot more optimal to do. So like ice beam will do the same amount of damage to Ridley as wave beam does, even though it's technically a quarter of its strength. But for bosses, it's the same, unless you're using missiles. So, and yeah, as you see, the Ridley fight wasn't that intense. It was just kind of go in there and kill him in less than 10 seconds. No big deal. Ridley's not that tough. He even disappeared forever. Exploded. Another thing you'll see, you have been seeing, but mainly because I just now remembered, is that since we don't have long beam, we use missiles as a long beam. Missiles reach across the room, and instead of having to wait for an enemy to, you know, get close enough to where we can kill it, we can just shoot a missile across the room, and it'll make life easier. It's a pseudo long beam that unfortunately does not have infinite ammo, but it's just a trade-off that you have to make during the run. So it's whatever though. It's interesting. We're almost done with Ridley's Lair. We only have to grab 1 extra missile tank, and then we're just done with Ridley's Lair. We will have killed Ridley and stolen all his stuff in about 6-7 minutes, and then we'll be straight out. These purple rooms are the worst, especially if you're learning the category, since there's just a whole bunch of stuff flying at you. But you'll see jnich make notable use of damage boost like there to skip over jumps and save a lot of time. There's another one. Jumping, you don't want to be jumping in this game if you don't have to. Jumping is 75%. Oh, maybe missing shots. Sorry. Jumping in terms of horizontal speed is 75% the speed of running. So you don't want to be jumping if you don't have to. It'll be easier to have, you know, enemies like boost you across the edges instead of just jumping across them. Another advantage to not jumping is not having to use screw attack, since it just causes a ton of lag, which on top of wave beam and other enemies makes just a ton of lag appear. So optimally, you don't want to do any of that. There's another nice damage boost. They're hard to kind of like get used to when you're learning the game. The damage boost across the little pipes, but once you get them. So let's see if jnich is. He likes to press his luck, I see. A couple of these jumps are subpixel based jumps, and he hasn't been struck down by the subpixel gods except for one time. But we're done with Ridley's Lair. We grabbed all his stuff and killed him, so now we have no business here. So we're just going to go straight to Norfair. Norfair unfortunately isn't done. We have to grab a lot more, especially missiles. And they're a bit of a pain to get, just because they're just a ton of. You'll notice a lot of rooms look the same, and that's because they are the same. This game is divided up into 15 by 16 like rooms, and what the developers did is they made them a hex code, and then they assigned each like room that hex code, and some of them they repeated. So for like all of the missile rooms in Norfair look the same because they are the same. So it's actually, you'll see a lot of repeats. You'll see a couple repeats in this long hallway too. These rooms look the same because they are the same. It's kind of unfortunate, but I mean, it's Metroid. Another category Mazzy likes to call this area, north section, north air, like the part where they just kind of gave up. Like, we have to add 5 more missiles. Where do we put it? We'll just put them all in a row. We'll see more excellently done block clips by jnich. Again, those are really hard to get first try. jnich's just an excellent runner at this game. He hasn't been put to death by subpixels, except for like once. This is great. Normally, subpixels attack runners like 3-ish times per run, but he's been having excellent, I don't want to say luck, because it's not really luck, but it feels like luck sometimes. You can technically manipulate it, but it's so hard to determine when you have subpixels or bad subpixels or not. Yep, this is the part of the run where it's just missiles right out back to back. We had 3 now we're gonna go upstairs and grab 2 more just in a row. It's kind of not exactly what. Beautiful block clips. Yeah, you do need to grab all 80 tanks, even though you can only carry 6. You do need to grab all 8. Like, we have to grab both ice beams as well. But it's beneficial to grab the second ice beam. No, you can use all of the missile upgrades. There are 21 plus the 150 from the bosses, which adds up to 255. So you can grab all of them, but just barely. The game has enough capacity to hold 255, since it's 8-bit. 2 to the power of 8 is 256. Whoa! But you can. Oop. This is a hard block clip to do. It's a lot harder than the other ones just because of like the time you have to get on it, but honestly, jnich's block clips have been absolutely solid this entire run. Yep, hexadecimal. There's a nice dude who's like, oh, subpixels again. He got the damage boost back into the pit, but the reason why he didn't get into the hole was because of subpixels. There are lots of moments like this where sometimes something like that won't even be your fault. It'll just be subpixels not wanting you to get inside a hole or get up to a platform. And it's unfortunate, but what can you do besides just deal with it? He didn't kill these enemies for a good reason, because it manipulates the room that we'll see in a bit to get a nice little optimal freeze. Oh my god. The spiky didn't hit him. We all saw it. That was great. It wasn't even close. The game knows how good jnich is. It's trying to hinder him, but a nice little freeze there. And after we grab these missiles, we're done with Norfair. We grabbed everything here. Nice little segment. Now that we're done with it, we can just leave, and the only big thing left to do is kill Kraid and then Torian. Metroid's a girl? What? Nice little damage boost into the hole. But regardless, Norfair's done. The days of unauthorized lava movement are somewhat over. I don't know what you're talking about, Orange. I'm bred for brunch. I'm pretty sure Terrifying Bridge is a fake, but regardless, we'll have one last big subpixel jump, which always likes to get you. This one's the worst one, but nope, he got it. Just barely though, but it's good. I'm glad we got it in. You'll see jnich has a surplus of missiles right now, so you'll see him using missiles to reduce a ton of lag, especially here. It makes this a lot easier to deal with. It's so nice. Despawning enemies and using different enemy nips just make this run a lot easier to deal with. And it makes Hundo in general very customizable to rolls, folk trolls. Anyway, enough distractions. It makes the run a lot customizable because there are many different ways to get the same time with different types of enemy manips. So 2 runs can have completely different enemy manips, but at the same time be the same speed. There are a few cases, or many cases actually, where the enemy manip is just objectively better, but a lot of the smaller instances have the case where different enemy manips will give you the same time save. Real Hundos kill fake Kraid. Yeah, we might see some fake Kraid. I heard he's the tougher of the bunch, though. As you may have noticed, enemies come in 2 different pairs. There's especially those little Simpsons dudes. There's the red and the red and the yellow. And the yellow one are the easier forms, and the red in this case are the harder ones. Basically, the red ones have the easier ones have a certain amount of health, and the harder ones just have double the health. They don't do double the damage. But with Fake Kraid, he's the harder version of Kraid technically. So Kraid takes 196 shots, to kill with a normal beam. But Fake Kraid takes 192 shots since it's 2 times 196. Fake Kraid can also be killed instantly with 1 screw attack or missile, which kind of makes him weak in that regard. But if you were to try to kill him normally, it would take quite a lot of willpower, determination to get through. But with that being said, we're already in Kraid. This is Kraid's lair. Most notably for probably the better of the 2, the best music for the game, as most people like to think. Metroid just likes to bug out in terms of sound. We've been not fortunate because it doesn't impact gameplay, but sometimes this game bugs out in terms of sound or visual things too. So you'll see colors like glitch where they shouldn't be, but it doesn't do anything. It's just a fun little color glitch. We haven't seen too much of that recently, but usually it happens here. Although, not really. Some of the blocks, the lava's white, but that's just what it does. It just happens when you try to load the game in, to quickly in one area. The colors just kind of freak out, which usually just happens when you're falling down. Never anywhere else. Now we're gonna grab these missiles. And now we see jnich taking the very bold move to go down and kill Fake Kraid. The infamous little bugger he is. We're gonna see Fake Kraid in his true form, and honestly, one of the more scarier of the 2 Kraids, if I'm being honest. Like, just look how blue he is. But he's gone. Nice, good Fake Kraid time, 37:33, I think is what I saw, so... But, regardless, the true peace in space has now been satisfied now that Fake Kraid's dead, so the run's pretty much over. Jokes aside, though, we're going to be going to Fake Kraid. In other cats, Kraid is a big scary dude, but especially in Hundo, you can just, hug him to death, and hug him to death with missiles, and he'll be gone soon. Ideally, you want to freeze the spike on him like jnich just did, and he's stepped on it too. And you can just hug him to death, and he's gone. The Hundo is super easy to kill. In other categories, a little bit. Missile hugs. Kraid just doesn't like hugs. I don't know what his deal is. Although he'll hug you to death if you let him. Now we're moving on to the worst part. The worst part of the Hundo run, in terms of just annoyances, at least in my opinion, so I should be a little bit less objective in how I speak, is the Kraid climb, which is just a long string of breakable blocks that you have to jump up. This takes a lot of effort to do, especially well, like jnich is doing. So just another great testament to how good jnich is at this game. and sometimes the game was another great. It was a great climb though. Most of the time they don't usually go that well, but jnich just an absolute beast at this game. Nothing he can't handle. But one last truly multi-pass part is just this little jump here. If you fall here, it's very disheartening, but jnich handles some of these. With that being said, though, we're pretty much done with Kraid's Lair. We have to grab one last E-Tank and one last missile pack, and then we're right on to Mother Brain. It's quite sad. Kraid died and lost all of his things in less than 5 minutes. Nice little use of the unmorph here, and not the last subpixel jump, but the last big one. So, fortunately, I think for now, we're good on subpixels, but I don't want to call it too soon. Or at least I'll Kraid exactly. He's gone in an instant. This last room is really fun to do optimally, just because it's so fun to just like, you'll see, it's just a fun thing to do. Fall on the ball and then jump on through, although you might get hit by this enemy. Yep. Skates like it was nothing. It's just so fun to do. A little bit of unmorph jump and not die from the enemy, but we're done. This next room is kind of deep devilish, because you have to spend 5 missiles and you're rewarded with 5 missiles. It's just kind of mean, but it's the last missile pack we have to pick up. No more missile packs. The only item we have to pick up after this one is Long Beam. And a great way to remember a Long Beam is that it's actually the best beam. And if you ever forget, all you have to do is remember that L stands for, or the L stands for best. That's all you have to do. In case you somehow forget, the Long Beam's not the best beam. But out of Kraid, only 2 things left to do. Grab the best beam and onto Torian. And the run's pretty much done. I don't know you're talking about high spirits. I believe that's just hogwash. We'll see a final climb by jnich, and it'll be fun. Normally in 100 deaths you pick up the E-Tank here, but it's a nice climb. This climb is so annoying to do, not because it's just long, and it's really easy just to not do optimally. It's easy to screw up is what I mean. I don't think we'll see too much of that, but especially in some parts when there's just suddenly 4 enemies appear on screen, the lag just instantly hits you like a train, and you lose a ton of time. It feels just awful. And here we are. The objectively best item in the game is here. Long Beam. The world record, just because I saw the question, is I believe it's a 43:53 by someone. Orange, get out. You're wrong. It's a pretty I don't no, it's a Bread for Brunch is the world record holder for 100%. McFly usually does any percent in all bosses and the deathless of each. We grabbed a Long Beam, and we're gonna be right on our way to Torian. Once you get to Torian, optimally, which is really hard to do, like Torian is no easy feat. Torian takes like about 3 minutes. No, yeah, or Terrifying Bridge, I guess, him too. But we'll see a nice wrap up here, but we're essentially done. We'll see an excellent use of Long Beam by shooting these Metroids right on screen, or right off the edge of the screen. Sometimes there's a cute little glitch you can get to happen here where a Metroid can turn into a Rinka. Oh, that was close. You don't want to be grabbed by one of these things. They cost a lot of time. But if you freeze a Metroid, like right as it appears on screen, it'll turn into like the Rinka. Rinkas are the Cheerios. It'll turn into the Cheerio a sprite. I don't know why it took me so long. Or sometimes it won't appear at all. So it's just fun to do. Usually doesn't happen, but it's cute when it does. There are a lot of really cute glitches you can do in this game, I think. Honey Nut Cheerio. Because we have so much health, we can tank some of these Metroids here, which is why jnich didn't even bother being grabbed. It's no point. jnich's an exceptionally great runner, so he can easily, especially with 60 tanks and 100 missiles, he'll be able to plow on through Torian since he's used to much less. Torian, the special Mother Brain fight, is very busy room with lots of lag. As you can already see, the game starts to slow down. There's a lot of things happening. You're being shot at by different turrets, and then you have Cheerios of Death wanting to steal your breakfast at the same time. So it's a lot of pay attention to, but as you can see, jnich's doing an excellent use of the unmorph jumps, as described earlier, and plowing right on through these Epitites. He's honestly a fantastic runner. So the Mother Brain fight takes 73 missiles at minimum, the 40 to get past the 5 Zebetites. Ooh, tossed around here. And 33 to kill Mother Brain, or 32 to kill Mother Brain, and 1 for the glass. As you can see, though, jnich's getting up close and personal with Mother Brain to take her out as fast as he possibly can. Absolutely destroying her. He's making excellent use of grouping the Rinkas together, so that way he can just have some nice personal time with Mother Brain, but now she's dead. The only thing left to do now is the climb, which under normal circumstances, I believe the game gives you like 2.5 minutes or something like that. I could be wrong on the exact time, but it gives you way more time than you need. jnich's climb will be, you know, wonderful compared to the minimum time. It'll be right on his way out. But besides that, this game's over. Well, yeah, the game is over. We've collected everything, killed everything, and now we're done. That's the run. A nice 46-46, I believe, is what I saw. Nice symmetry there. So GG to the excellent run done by jnich. He did a nice, wonderful run for all the world to see. Couldn't have done it better myself. Thanks everyone for tuning in, though. I'm glad that everyone was able to witness the run, and I hope everyone had a wonderful time. Yeah, it was a wonderful time too. Metroid's a girl? What? Wait, no one told me. Stream rated 18+, yeah. Hopefully everyone had their parental supervision. But that being said, thanks for tuning in, and I am done here, so I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Retrothon, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.